Hello, this is Jim McKeith, developer evangelist for RemObjects Software. Today is a brief introduction to Oxfuscator, but before I explain what it does, let me give you a bit of background. All .NET languages compile down to an intermediate language assembly. Here's the assembly we just built. In this case, it's an exe. When we execute an assembly, the .NET framework uses a just-in-time or JIT compiler to compile it to optimized machine code so it can run. Unlike machine code, IL is a higher level language, so it can be easily disassembled back to the original source code. Dotnet Reflector is a tool, one of many tools, that disassembles a compiled assembly back to source code. If we just take this, drag it in here, we can now open it up, and we see all the namespaces are in here, and the class names, and then we can disassemble, and we have a roadmap leading us back to the source code. Right here, create transformer will look very familiar to this code here. Obviously the formatting is different, and if there was any comments in here, those would be gone as well. So what's a developer to do? How can we protect our source code? This is where Oxfuscator comes into play. Oxfuscator is a obfuscation tool that integrates into Visual Studio IDE and MS Build. The easiest way to use it is to just go to your solution and say Add New Project, select RemObjects Oxfuscator, and in here it says Assemblies to Obfuscate. Hit Add Reference, and it'll be default come up here to your Projects tab, which lists all the other projects in your solution. Select your project, hit OK. The last time I built this, it built one. I'm going to hit Build again, and we'll see it's going to build two projects. Now, if we go back here, this is still our original assembly, and you'll notice it's 28 kilobytes. But if we go here to this folder, which is the folder for the Obfuscator project, we'll notice it's only 17 kilobytes. So it's significantly smaller, and the reason it's smaller is because all of the data needed for naming things has been removed. If we take this and put it into Reflector, the obfuscated assembly, we'll notice that the namespaces are gone and the class names are gone. So the roadmap has been removed. Now you can still go in here and look at the source code. You can still disassemble it, but you don't know what you're looking at. So it becomes a hunt and peck problem trying to find what you might be looking for. It's important to note that none of the logic has changed. If I run this, it will run exactly the same as it ran before. Nothing has been added and nothing has been removed as far as logic goes. Just the information that says what things are named has been removed. If you find yourself needing to navigate this assembly, though, you can always look at this log file, which lists the old name and what it is renamed to. You can think of this as your roadmap. There's a number of options available in Oxfuscator. Just come here to Properties. You can optionally exclude certain parts from being obfuscated. The reason you might do that is if you are exposing parts of your assembly for use by a third-party system. So you just leave the parts that need to be exposed unobfuscated. You can also use an obfuscate attribute to specifically obfuscate certain things. So if you only want parts of it obfuscated, this would be the way to go. And again, if you're exposing it, you might want to turn off obfuscation of properties or events. And if you're using strong file names and you need to use a key file to sign it, then you would specify that here. Also, if you are using any external assemblies, you need to specify those assemblies here. They will not be modified, but it's just important that the name information is maintained. From here, you can set up builds for different configurations, as well as change the output path for the assembly and the output path for the log file. Reuse names will reuse names if it does not result in a naming conflict. And so what this does is it makes a name no longer unique, which makes it much, much harder for someone to try and navigate through your assembly. Unreadable names is a great addition to use Unicode characters that are legal for names but are not human readable, not printable. And I'll show you what that looks like here. We'll go ahead and turn that on. And then hiding strings will hide all the string contents, which is a good idea. So we'll go ahead and build this again with the unreadable names turned on. And if we come back here and remove this one and then add it back again and expand it out, you're going to notice that instead of being called A, most of these are blank. What they are is they're just blank characters, or there are other strange symbols for characters, which you can still disassemble it, but it's very meaningless. The roadmap, the names of things have been completely removed and are very hard to cross-reference or figure out what they might mean. If you do want more information about Oxfuscator, you can visit the Oxfuscator product page at remobjects.com/Oxfuscator, or the wiki page on Oxfuscator. This goes through and explains a lot of the options in more detail. Oxfuscator ships with Delphi Prism, so if you want a recent version of Delphi Prism, you already have Oxfuscator. Since Oxfuscator works on the assembly itself, it works with assemblies written in any .NET language, including C# and VB.NET. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of RemObjects TV and this introduction to Oxfuscator. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us at tv@remobjects.com. If you'd like to see more videos, please visit remobjects.com/tv. Thank you for your time and attention.